everyone, Staci Wallace here with a very special edition of Warrior DNA. Mind-blowing revelation today that I think is going to affect your business and your life. Here's what happened. Well, actually, we've tried to record this a couple of times, but something's been going on with Facebook. It's not been allowing us to post live. I totally understand. The enemy does not want you to have this message. He does not want you to hear what I'm about to tell you, because this was mind-blowing truth to me this morning. We went on our walk this morning. Many of you know yesterday, every Sunday at 5 p.m., I do Warrior DNA. What is Warrior DNA? It is just a time of really imparting, equipping leaders in the marketplace, whether you're a mom leader, a stay-at-home leader, a teacher leader, lawyer leader, doctor leader, MLM leader, it doesn't really matter. With distinctive qualities, equipping you, empowering you with distinctive qualities and characteristics of men and women who have ridiculous faith and fearless courage, even in the midst of adversity. In other words, you stand out. You stand out from everybody else. That's warrior DNA. And you're going to have to be a warrior in today's generation, everything that crazy that's going on around us. You're going to have a different type of DNA in order for you to be recognized as different. Now, let me just tell you what happened to me this morning was crazy cool. I woke up this morning, and again, we go on our walk. My kids have been in Guatemala for the last 7 days. 3,500 people saved in Guatemala. I'm just so excited that my kids are passionate about being the hands and the feet of Jesus. But while they've been gone, of course, Larry and I, we did a full fast. And in that time, really, that's about us humbling ourselves. Really, it's more than just self-torture when you go without food for that long. And really, it was just a time of us pressing in, saying, there's certain things that we're wanting. There's certain things that we're believing for. There's miracles that we're expecting to happen. And more so than trying to move God, fasting and meditation is about getting you in the right posture in order to receive God's next level. Now, I want to tell you something, because yesterday when I talked about next level leadership, if you'll remember, I talked about Mario Sunshine, the game that we play. I talked about different apps and car apps where you can actually see the next level. You can see that there's other things that maybe if it's a car game, you can see that there's other cars you can access. There's other weapons you can access if you get to that next level. Well, maybe you're in a place right now where there's a next level. You want to get there. Maybe it's a rank. Maybe it's a promotion. Maybe it's something for your family. Maybe you're believing for a miracle for your kids. Whatever it is, maybe it's healing. Whatever it is, you know that there's something more out there that you currently want. Well, yesterday I talked about, here you are, you want to get to that next level, and in Mario Sunshine, there's certain things you have to do in order to pass the challenge of the level you're at in order to get the next level. So that's how you get to that next level. Well, so that if you didn't see it, go back to my Facebook page and watch it. I didn't realize this, but it all corresponds with the incredible epiphany I had. I've had 3 epiphanies in my life, and one of them happened on June 2nd, 2017. I call it the sonic boom epiphany. If you didn't see that Facebook Live, go to my YouTube page, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Staci Wallace, and look up the one from June 2nd, 2017 called Sonic Boom. I woke up, had the word Sonic Boom on my head, didn't know what it was, thought maybe we're going to start Sonic restaurants or whatever, but I ended up studying Sonic Boom, and wow, the revelation that came out of that was unbelievable. Total epiphany in my life. And I've been on this track since June 2nd that has just been life-changing for me and my family. Well, this morning, same thing happened. Went on my walk with my husband. My kids weren't home from Guatemala yet. We had our beautiful prayer time. Came back having breakfast at the breakfast table, and I kept hearing, blur the lines. Blur the lines. It's kind of like Sonic Boom. What does that mean, blur the lines? And as we sat there, I got a phone call from a business associate that was telling me about somebody they had connected with that they wanted me to do a 3-way call with them. And I knew who they were talking about, and I said, listen, I had this incredible word going through my head, blur the lines. I get what it is now. That's what I'm going to share with you today, because it's the next, I would say, part 2 of next level leadership, is blurring the lines between worship and work, marketplace and ministry. So many times we are trying to do work or do marketplace or try to be successful. And here's what's happened is we've removed God out of the workplace. Now I understand that is a little g God agenda. That's a evil agenda, taking prayer out of schools, getting people to stop talking about God in the workplace. I have personally been in corporate leadership positions, senior vice president, executives, president of companies, where they've literally told me that I cannot say Merry Christmas. I need to tone down how much I talk about Jesus. I need to pull back on my quote unquote faith message. And here is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about taking on a posture that you are irrevocable, undeniably committed to. Having this posture that no matter what, even if it means you get thrown in a lion's den, even if it means you get thrown in a fiery furnace, even if it means you go to a cross, you are unwilling to change your posture in the midst of adversity. Now, I'm going to show you something out of Scripture that I hope for you is as mind-blowing as it was for me, because this is a prophetic word for some of you that right now you're trying to go to another level. You're trying to get something out of life. Some of you, you're going through financial difficulties and you're trying to get out of debt. Some of you are going through marital difficulties and you're trying to get out of the stress. Some of you are wealthy and you're trying to figure out, I'm brilliant, but I'm broken. I have this ability to produce wealth, but I cannot seem to function in relationships and life. I don't have peace. I'm about to show you what happens when you begin to take a posture. In other words, you don't use business as the solution, or you don't use your job as the solution. Your family, not the solution. The business is not the solution. It's only a door that leaves you to give access to the solution. Now, you may not be getting that yet, so stick with me. I'm going to show you exactly what it means to posture yourself in a kingdom so that you can get not the favor of the king, little k, but so that you can get the favor of the God, the King of Kings, who can give you what you need like that. Some of you have been making phone calls and you're not getting results. You've been pushing in business, you're not getting the results. You keep setting up appointments. For whatever reason, you're not seeing traction take place. And I'm about to show you that there is another level of execution, and it's not. Now write this down. If you are watching, you're going to want to write this down. This is about to blow your mind with revelation that I'm going to back up with the Word of God to follow up what I'm about to tell you. I want you to write this down. The pathway to your promotion has nothing to do with your performance, but it has everything to do with your posture in the marketplace. Let me say that again. The pathway to your promotion has nothing to do with your performance, but it has everything to do with the posture that you choose to take in the marketplace. You choose to take in your family. You choose to take in your business. You choose to take in whatever atmosphere that at the school, whatever it is, your posture, who you choose to stand for, and what you choose to stand for is more important even than the assignment that you're on. You've heard me say alignment precedes assignment. Well, alignment with people is important, but alignment with God will be more important than any alignment or friendship or relationship, because relationships are born out of vessels. Vessels are born out of clay. Clay is of the dust and it will go away. You want to be in alignment with the Spirit of God over your life and over your business. Because here's what will happen. You'll get great cars, but you won't have great peace. You'll get bigger houses, but you won't have a home of love. You can't figure out what's missing in my life. I feel like I need more. How do you get to a place where you go to the next level and there's peace even in the midst of adversity? Now watch this. Now I do something here and I challenge you as parents. Do something strategic for your children. I'm very strategic when it comes to Facebook and Instagram. Those are my places. I'm chronicalizing my life, my DNA, my core values, if you go through my Facebook page or my Instagram or my Twitter, all of which are at Staci Wallace, you'll see I am strategically leaving a legacy for my children to share with my grandchildren. If anything happens, they'll be able to go, as long as those platforms still continue, they'll be able to go back and see what G Mama stood for. That's what I hope that they call me. But they're going to be able to see what I stood for. What did I live for? What did I work for? Who did I align myself with? Those are strategic postings, not about promoting Staci Wallace. They're strategic promotions or posts about promoting what I stood for. The posture that you're going to see my family. You're going to see my God. You're going to see my worship. You're going to see my faith. That's what you're going to see. You're going to see success. You're going to see that God puts me in places that are absolutely unbelievable. You might see things that I've been with 5 U.S. presidents. I've traveled around the world. All those things that I could use to name drop. It's not about name dropping. It's about glorifying God, who has the ability in a second to change your statistics, has an ability in a second to change your intellect, has an ability in a second to promote you when you have been striving and working and pushing with numbers and all natural means, making phone calls, trying to get to the right people, and you don't understand. Why aren't they seeing me? Why hasn't it happened for me yet? Has nothing to do with your performance. It has everything to do with your posture. At least it does when you are a God chaser. Now, let me show you what this looks like in Scripture. You know, I want you to remember this. Your business is not the solution. It is a door. It's a platform to get you in front of people so that while you're in front of people, you can point them to the solution. God wants to elevate you. God says, my eyes roam to and fro, looking for someone in whom I can prove myself strong. Why is that? He wants to get glory in the marketplace. But inasmuch as God wants to have powerful people that stand up from and take a stand-up nature posture for Him, there's also a world of people that they could care less about God. They could care less about really glorifying God. They want to glorify their business. They want to glorify their corporation. They want their company to be number one. They want their company. I look at some of the battles right now over artificial intelligence. Who's going to come to it? Who's going to be Google? Is it going to be Facebook? Who's going to actually be the one to dominate? And none of it is pointing to God. But let me tell you what's about to happen. Is God is looking for a generation of business leaders who are willing to stand up, gain success because of their posture in the midst of a diverse and a completely corrupt generation. Watch this. And this is crazy how it correlates back to June 2nd, sonic boom. Are you ready? So let me put my glasses on here. And I was going to tell you, be very strategic about your postings. Be very, very strategic about what you're leaving your family. You know, this Bible is a Bible every day. I write in it. And this Bible is going to go to Alexia Wallace, my little girl. I write notes in there. When I get revelation from God, I write it on the margins, and I've got it color-coded. You can see I've got one here. This one's Peyton's. Got it for my son, all color-coded. I've got notes in the margins. I'll write them little notes in here. Because one day when I'm gone, they're going to inherit something. Now, I might leave them an inheritance of money, but more so than money, the inheritance of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. To create wise children is the greatest inheritance that I can give. All of my books, I color code them. I write notes in them. When I pass away, somebody's going to inherit the books out of my library. That's me passing on what's gotten me where I've been and the intellect and the peace of God that God's poured into me. Now watch this. I want you to go. We talked about this yesterday, the book of Daniel. I've read this story my entire life. I've never seen it like I'm seeing it right now. The book of Daniel, in the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, comes to Jerusalem and takes it over. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand. In other words, this is a God-inspired, God-conducted takeover. God is allowing Jerusalem to be taken over. And it's like, oh God, it seems so bad. Maybe you feel like you've been taken over with debt. Maybe you feel like you've been taken over with things happening in your family. Maybe you feel like you've been taken over at work and you're not getting the promotion you're supposed to have. Watch what's about to happen, because sometimes God allows a setback in order to stage a monumental set up that He can get glory. When you have a setback, don't take a step back. Get ready for God's comeback, because God's comeback is always about taking people to the next level. And if you're ready for your next level leadership, you're going to love this. Okay, I'm going to paraphrase what's happening. This is chapter 1, Daniel chapter 1. Now, every day this week, there's no way I can give you everything that I'm getting out of this. So I'm going to do this every day this week. Come back tomorrow morning. I'm going to give you a little bit more out of what I'm getting out of this. Now, here, Nebuchadnezzar has taken over Jerusalem. And here's what he's about to do. First off, he takes over Jerusalem and he takes some of the holy articles that were inside of the kingdom, and he decides that he's going to use them. He's going to take the plunder. He's going to bring them, and now he's going to use them for normal. We're going to talk about this. This is a whole nother topic, a whole nother message. But I want you to see this. And the Babylonian king told the master of his eunuchs, bring in some of the children of Israel, both of the royal family and of the nobility. Now, normally when they would do this, when they would look for new leaders, they would only look from a specific class. But here they're opening it up, saying, we want to find the best of the best in the kingdom because we want to put together an elite army of astrologers, an elite army of magicians, scientists, ruddy warriors. Basically, they're putting together like this highly intelligent Navy SEALs group, right? And he says, I want the best of the best, youths without blemish, well-favored in appearance, skillful in all wisdom, discernment, and understanding, apt in learning, knowledge, competent to stand in the king's palace, so that we might teach them, get this, the literature and the understanding and language of the Chaldeans. Now watch this. As you hear King Nebuchadnezzar, I want you to think of a little K king. And there is a king of this generation that wants to educate our children, wants to educate our marketplace, wants to educate you in the way of the world. Now, there's a scripture that says, be in the world, but not of the world. What does that mean? God doesn't want you to watch the same things that everybody watches. He doesn't want you to eat the same things everybody eats. He doesn't want you to behave like everyone else. In fact, he's looking for a generation that is set apart, sanctified. If I looked at you and I looked at the rest of the world, what sets you apart from everybody else around you? Is there a different language? Is there a different mannerism? Is there joy? Is there love? Do you gossip like everyone else? Do you talk about some of the same TV shows that everyone else? It's filthy and rags and you know it. I want you to think about that as we go through this, because this is a challenge that there just may be a new posture that you're supposed to take that's going to position you for your next level of increase. Now watch this. And the king assigned for all those that he selected to be, this is a 3-year boot camp, that he's looking for the best of the best, the Navy SEALs of the Chaldeans. And he's going to put them through a 3-year boot camp. I mean, a difficult boot camp. And he says, and the king assigned for them daily portion of his own rich and dainty food of the wine which he drank, and they were to be educated and nourished for 3 years, that at the end of that time they might stand before the king. In other words, I'm going to give them royal positions in my kingdom. Now this is going to go longer than 15 minutes, so bear with me. Tomorrow we're going to get a little bit more, and a little bit more. I'm going to give you a little bit more today, and then we're going to take it on in tomorrow. Stay with me. I truly believe this has an ability to be something that unlocks your next season in business and in life. Now, among these were the children of Judah: Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Now you may know the name Daniel, but what you don't know is that King Nebuchadnezzar immediately wanted to strip them of who they were, or who they really were, and give them new names: Belshazzar, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He changed their names. He didn't want them to any longer look like who they were, any more than the world wants you to look like you are really a son of God or a daughter of God. They gave him different names. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and Daniel. But Daniel, despite what they were going to call him, they called him Daniel, he said, I am going to stand, I'm determining in my heart that he would not defile himself by eating of the king's delicacies or drinking of the wine. So therefore he requested that he be able to do things different. In other words, he didn't want to be a subculture of the king. He wanted to remain a counter culture. Now here's what I want to tell you. I think back on all those times when they told me I couldn't say Merry Christmas. And suddenly, over the years, the last decade, I allowed myself to become a leader in the marketplace that was working for companies. And I suddenly had this awakening when he said this morning, blur the lines. In other words, if someone tells you that you cannot stand up for God, I think about our prayer in schools. How many teachers right now, it just pulls their heart out that they can't pray with kids when they know the only thing that's going to help them is going to be prayer in schools. Now, I'm not saying go lose your job. However, I'm getting ready to show you a story of 4 guys that put it all on the line. And they were willing to take a posture where they're directing their focus towards God, the only king that they were willing to bow down before. And they said, we're going to take posture. I want you to see what happened to them, because the world right now wants every one of Jerusalem, every Israelite, every Christian, every Gentile, they want them to bow down, change the way you dress, change the way you mark yourself, change the way you feel. It's okay. It's the world. It's just entertainment. We can watch those shows. We get entertainment. I see pastors that say, you know what? I get my teachings out of that kind of stuff. Here's what I'm about to show you. This book of Daniel, is a corporate representation of how the world kingdom tries to change what is a proven king and kingdom and tries to get them to change their name, change their look. But here is what Daniel did. Watch this. But Daniel determined in his heart that he would not defile himself. So he went before the eunuch and he asked that he might not defile himself. And God made Daniel to find favor and compassion with the head eunuch. Now, he asked the head eunuch, please don't make me eat these foods. Please don't make me drink these. Please don't make me watch those shows. Please don't make me be like everybody else. I've made a commitment that I'm going to be sanctified. I'm going to be set apart. I'm going to look different. If I'm going to do this life, then I'm going to do it passionately. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out in flames like Joan of Arc. I'm going to stand. I'm going to fight for something I believe in. I'm going to stand for something I believe in. Now, watch this. Then the king said to Daniel's steward, whom the chief of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, prove your servants, I beseech you, for 10 days. Please let us be given a vegetable-only diet. Now watch this. This is not about food. This is about posture. Daniel was being asked to be like every one of the other guys that were in this elite army test, right? And so imagine right now, he is saying, look, I know you think that's how you get strong and that's how you get mighty and that's how you get intellect. But please, let me honor my God. Now, this eunuch starts thinking, wait a minute, I can get my head chopped off for this. And he's also liking Daniel, and I don't want him to get his head chopped off for it. So he says, okay, I'll do it for 10 days. We'll do this test. So Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they all go on this crazy vegetable-only fast, or they stay in their lifestyle, not wanting to eat those foods. Now, get this. This is amazing. While they do that, a lot of people say, I can't fast everything because I'll lose my muscle mass or I'll change, I'll diminish. And granted, that often happens. And in fact, in the natural, you would think that's what would happen if you take away protein and a lot of carbohydrates. But here's what happened to these guys. Because it was a fast called by God and it was him taking posture for God, instead of them being diminished, the Bible says they actually grew in strength. They had more tissue added to their body. In other words, they got more muscular in 10 days. And so here is what happened. I love this part. This is where it links back to Sonic Boom. Now, at the end of the time which the king had set, now this is verse 18. Now, at the end of the time which the king had set, bringing all the young men of the land, the chief of the eunuchs brought them before King Nebuchadnezzar. King Nebuchadnezzar looks at every single one of them because he's looking for the elite, the best of the best. And among them all, there was none found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Before they were and now, when they were seen as being full of strength, they were assigned to the king. I wrote in my margin here, when they were brought before the little king, they were found full of all the right stuff. When I wrote that in the margin for my little girl, I remembered, wasn't there a movie, All the Right Stuff? Because wouldn't you like to get before God one day and he say, well done, that's having all the right stuff. And so I hollered out to Larry and I was like, wasn't there a movie like All the Right Stuff or something? And he said, yeah, it was a space movie. I said, let's look it up and see. He was making phone calls this morning for our business. And I said, look it up and tell me what it was about because I didn't remember it. Here's what's amazing. It was about Mercury 7 astronauts, test pilots. It was the first manned space flight. And get this, it was the first supersonic rocket plane that broke the sound barrier. I'm like going, are you kidding me? We're still on June 2nd, supersonic boom. In fact, Chuck Yeager was the one that they were said that that particular flight that he took, he went faster, higher, and farther than any other pilot or astronaut had ever done. You want to go to the next level? You want to be faster, higher, and go farther than anyone else? Sometimes it may not be about just doing the things in the natural. Sometimes there's a place where you've got to come in the supernatural and you've got to stand up. In this setting, now I'm not even going to talk about the next chapter. We'll talk about that tomorrow because it gets even better about the posture you take in order to go to the next level. But look at this. When the king looked upon them in the matters of wisdom, understanding, concerning which the king had asked him, all the things that the king tested him in, he found Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and Daniel to be 10 times better than all of those magicians and enchanters who were within the whole realm. Now, I want you to step back to verse 17 because here's when they did the takeaway of them after the 10 days. As for these 4 young youths, God gave them advanced knowledge, skill, learning, wisdom, and Daniel got new levels of understanding to interpret dreams and visions. Now, you may need additional talents to do what you do. You may not have all the goods, but I want to tell you this. Just going to another Tony Robbins event is not going to give you it might motivate you, but it is not going to give you the posture that you need in order to get a super upon your natural so that supernatural things can take place in your life and business. And that's what happened to Daniel. Here they are in a job. They're in a region. They get called up by the king. Daniel gets placed as the king's maid or whatever. He was in the king's court. And here they are. They have the opportunity when everyone else is being asked, no, please, let me honor my God. Let me stay faithful. There are faiths right now that are standing up for their religion in the United States better than Christians are. They're getting respect because they're not willing to change their standards, change their clothing, change their beards, change their tunics. And here's what I want to say to those of you who are of the faith of the living God and you want him to be the CEO of your business. If you want him to be the CEO of your business, of your marriage, of your life, of your children, then today's a day for you to take posture and stand up. He had a divine assignment for those 4 boys. They didn't get to that next level of assignment until they had proper alignment so that God knew if I test them, they're going to point back to me. You're being tested right now. I don't know what you're going through, but here's what I do know. That God is a God of follow through and next levels. If you will allow God to blur the lines in your life to where you don't show up one day and you're like all happy and everything's great at church, and then you go to work and you got a sourpuss attitude, you're gossiping like everybody else, you're just like the rest of the world, you're swearing, you're drinking, you're yelling at your wife, you're mistreating your kids. You know what? You need to blur the lines. If you're going to worship on Sundays, then worship on Monday through Saturday as well. If you're going to worship in front of all your Christian friends, then begin to worship in the workplace, even if it means it costs you your life. It could have cost these guys their life. You're going to see over the next few days when I unveil this to you. This is about what's happening to our nation. There is a king that's asking you to change, a little K king. There's a little G God of this world that doesn't want you to look like you're from a God, the God of faith. Doesn't want you to look like a Christian. Doesn't want you to act like a Christian. They don't care if you show up in front of Christians at church and act like a Christian. But God forbid if you go to the world and you start standing up for him. That's when all hell could break loose around you. And that is also where God can look upon you and give you the promotion that you're looking for. Jeremiah 1:5 says, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. In other words, I separated you from the world. I put a call on your life. You're marked. And why? So that you can become a prophet. What is that? It is a spokesperson to nations. Before I formed you in your mother's womb, I set you apart to become a prophet to nations. That word prophet to nations means a spokesperson to the people around you. Whatever room God puts you in, whether it's a classroom, a boardroom, a law office, a homeschool room, no matter what room God puts you in, take posture. Be the beacon of light that you're called to be. You might get persecuted for it, but you will also find that is the pathway to your greatest promotion. I love you guys. I want you, honey, is there anything you want to add to that? Share. Larry's saying share. We want you to share this week. This is going to rock some people's world because I'm going to get deep. Here's the great thing. When I worked for those companies, I could get fired. When I was paid by those companies, I could get demoted. When I had other people telling me what I couldn't say, they could affect. But you know what? I don't work for anybody anymore. I work for myself. So the only thing I can lose right now is followers. And I'm okay to lose followers in order to take my own posture in the marketplace and say what I know that I know that I know God is wanting to be said right now. No one can fire me. I don't have anybody that's looking to hire me. I am set. This is one of the blessings of the lifestyle that we live, to give us the freedom to say what it is that God has us saying in this season. I'm believing for God's best for you today. I pray a blessing over you as you straighten up in your life, as you straighten your posture, become who it is God's called you to be in the marketplace, and watch how God moves even past your performance. In 1 second, God could give you one business person that changes your business overnight. In 1 second, God could give you a business alignment that changes everything. In 1 second, God could give you a company merger or acquisition that changes everything. But God's looking for that 1 second that you choose to stand up for Him when you're being tempted to follow. God bless you guys. Have a great day. You're blessed and highly favored. We'll see you tomorrow.